At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of such recording. The town is recording this. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Now, all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So I did read the pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th paragraph at the beginning, but I'm just starting to record a little bit late. We will take attendance. Malcolm?
Here.
Jeremy?
Here.
Garfield?
Here.
And I am here. So apologies for starting this a few minutes late. We have two other attendees. We have James and I believe it's Eileen from the newsletter. So did everyone get a chance to take a look at the minutes that I sent earlier? We have November 7th, 2023 and December 6th, 2023 to take a look at. Did we all get a chance to take a look at that?
I did.
Okay.
Are we going to vote on each or?
Yeah, we're going to vote separately. I just wanted to make sure everyone got them before. And I'm just going to pull them up real quick. So 1 sec. Okay, so the November 7th meeting, we were all present, and that was the meeting that Mr. Nickerson was present, and we had a discussion with him. So I'll take a motion to approve the November 7th, 2023 meeting minutes.
So moved.
So
Make a
moved.
motion to approve the November 7th.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, Malcolm,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right. Now I'd like to make a motion to approve the December 6th, 2023 minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the, what was it again? December 6th,
December 6th, yeah.
2023 minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Malcolm?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, Jeremy?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
And I am aye. So we have 3 and 1 abstentions. Malcolm was absent that day. All right, subcommittees, announcements and statements. Malcolm?
Yeah, I have nothing at this point. No.
Okay.
I'll speak later in the agenda, but.
Okay. Jeremy?
I have nothing.
Okay, Garfield?
I have something, and I don't know if you'll be very happy about it, Lee, and I never thought I would say this, but I'm wondering if we maybe either should meet less or disband altogether. We have made an extensive list of things that we thought needed to be done. We have brought this list to the select board. It's been duly noted. And we've also in our last meeting just had with the planning board, we realized there was some issues there to look at, and things have been done. And I think we have found the avenue, which it seemed like everyone agreed with, that part of it was, or a lot of it was zoning. And to repeal it, if you will, and kind of go along that way. But the reason I'm saying is because I'm not sure how much further we can do. We know what we needs to be done. We know what kind of like where it has to go to get done. And we've had other boards look at it, which was the select board. So I'm not sure what else we can accomplish other than what we've already accomplished and have sent forward.
I believe since this is such a big discussion that we should put that on the next meeting, although if we do disband it. But I think because this wasn't on the agenda, we can't really go into this discussion, but I will certainly note that.
Okay.
And are the committee members okay with us putting this on the next agenda, and we can kind of be prepared to have a full-on discussion, because I think it is a big discussion that we should have an agenda item for. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
on that?
I'm fully supportive. I mean, that's really what I was driving at when I suggested that we really should discuss and identify what our mission is.
Okay,
And if we can't identify what that mission is, then
Sure.
I agree with Garfield. There's no reason for meeting.
okay,
So say that last part again, Malcolm, I'm sorry.
If we can't identify what our mission is, and I think that's what we should focus on, what is our mission as a committee? If we don't have a mission, then we really have no reason for being.
okay.
yeah,
So that's fair enough. So I will definitely, Yeah.
I think that it's a good idea to put it on our agenda and discuss it. I wonder if the decision to disband the committee, we should take it that should come up in the one of the joint planning board select board meetings, since really this is a subcommittee created from that.
yeah, we would officially have to go before the select board, because I know that when the sustainability livability committee, which
Well,
I
I
completely
wonder if
get
it could,
that name wrong, but
I
they did.
wonder if we could go before our the joint meeting,
Sure,
and discuss it there. And if we come to the point where
okay.
we think we should be disbanded, I wonder if we could put it on the
What,
agenda. for next
yeah,
meeting.
I think that's a good point. So what if we have a meeting amongst ourselves first, decide if we want to do that, and then bring it to a joint select board planning board meeting. Does that sound good? So we have some kind of,
Yeah, I mean,
but I just, Jeremy, I just don't want to get into a
yeah.
big question because
well,
it's not an agenda item.
no. I just want to something else for the next meeting. So I'd like to continue for us to see at least while the committee is still meeting, or subcommittee still meeting, if we could meet with developers. And I had spoken with Jane briefly about coming to one of our subcommittee meetings, and she was definitely interested. She just needed a little bit of time. So if it would be possible to invite her for if we're going to schedule a meeting after, well, I guess we're scheduling a meeting.
I would wait until after we have our next meeting to decide whether that's appropriate or not.
Yeah, I think that's probably,
Okay. So, I mean, so when I brought this topic up in the planning board, about having developers come and meet with the planning board, at that point, they were saying that it sounded a better avenue to come before this subcommittee.
okay.
Anyway.
So I think that's a good point, that, when we have this agenda item and we can just focus just on this, I think this is good, the pros and cons, because we will no longer have a platform for developers. And, I assume the Affordable Housing Trust Fund would have to take up that slack, or the planning board. So, again, because this is not on the agenda, I don't want to go too deep in this, but I think that's good points. And I think that we should all bring pros and cons and think very, very hard about disbanding this.
Our meeting, that's what's my.
And yeah, so, we can set the next meeting and then just focus on, identify our mission, pros and cons, and have a full-on discussion, because I do think that's a good point, but we do need to address it in pros and cons, and talk about, what we could be losing by not having a subcommittee. Okay, anyone else? Malcolm, you said you were going to wait. Jeremy, did you have anything specific to?
No, it was just about that. I was going to bring that up at the end
Okay.
before we were planning our next meeting, but.
All right. So, so in light of that discussion, looking, and I don't have anything. In looking at this discussion, I'll just briefly run down the agenda. It was a lot, and there were definitely different points I had raised, but I'll just go down to remind everyone. It was a housing progress discussion, what has been achieved, what is in the works. Discussion, maybe an update on the state affairs by me. Affordable Housing Trust Fund updates by Garfield. Community Preservation Committee updates, Jeremy and Lee. planning board updates Malcolm and Jeremy, town updates Lee and Garfield, and others, which we could all talk about. So that others means nonprofits, private developers, regional agencies, etc. And then discussion setting benchmarks and goals for the year. So, you know, even looking at that, I wanted to get kicked off with looking at benchmarks and identifying our mission, and that was part of it. So I recognize that we really need to have benchmarks and goals and a mission, and that was part of what I was trying to do in establishing tonight's agenda. But if we're having a discussion on whether to stay together as a committee, then possibly we can table most of these things.
I agree.
Yeah. So is there anything out of what I've just mentioned that anyone wants to address, you know, give an update on? Obviously, we just had a joint select board and planning board meeting the other night. Does anyone?
Well, I have something.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
And it's just from the minutes, from the minutes of the December 6th meeting with the trust. It was, one of the points was, oh shoot, I just took a screenshot of it, but it was, let's see, it was, Ms. Davis agreed, suggesting the planning board help point out specific opportunities for offering incentives. And actually, hold on, let me open up the minutes again. And that was, and then it was, yeah, like waive fees, etc. I don't know if, I don't think I really took that back to the planning board. And so maybe if we could talk about that briefly, because I think, like the planning board had talked about things like that, but usually most of it was in the purview of the select board, and so we sort of like not specifically talking about it from this conversation, but having talked about it in the past. But I mean, I guess we could discuss it again in the select board and bring it back to the joint meeting if like this subcommittee thinks.
Yeah, I mean, I just needed direction on terms of, you know, what fees are being paid, like hookup fees for sewer and water. And I'm not aware of all the different permitting and fees that, you know, someone building a house, for instance, would have to go through. So if I was looking for direction, if you kind of give me a sense of, okay, these are actually the fees and the steps and hoops that we have to jump through, that would help me determine if there's anything we can do to make it easier for people to develop land and create housing. But I just don't have what people have to do.
Yeah. I know Jonathan I think he had brought it up to the subcommittee previously about the sewer hookups.
Yeah. Is that something you might be able to bring to the committee? Like, or some, you know,
sure.
maybe do
I
research?
mean, it would fall, I mean, it's not, I mean, we could definitely bring it to the committee. I mean, it's definitely something that is really you know, I mean, the planning board doesn't have any.
Yeah, I mean, someone would have to do the research. Yeah.
Any jurisdiction to be able to change that. I mean, that would definitely be a select board thing if it was something that would be waived, you know, for, you know, affordable housing development, or if someone were like in the creation of affordable housing. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do their homework and come and present a list of, you know, these are the hoops that developers have to jump through, these fees, these are their permitting, you know, I would love to see that, because I know that the developer that we had, you know, did mention all the different steps that they have to go through to develop a new piece of property, and it was quite a few. So Jeremy, let me bring it to the planning board and see if it's something that the board wants to take up, or if or just, you know, I can look into it as, you know, as a member of this subcommittee. Okay, that's great.
I'd be surprised if somebody somewhere doesn't have a checklist.
Yeah, I'm thinking Chris probably already has this.
Yeah,
checklist.
that would be my,
And if not Chris, then the building department.
yeah.
Yeah, the building inspector will have something for sure. Okay, so that's great. So that's for the meeting, next meeting, I guess. I'll put that on, or Malcolm, do you mind making a note of that?
Yep, got it.
So Garfield, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Jeremy, you said you wanted to bring in developer to speak
Well,
with?
no, plural. Like to continue on that, I had wanted to bring in another developer previously, but then we had the trust come in a couple of times. And so, yeah, I mean, the next one that I kind of had lined up was, Construct. And I know Lee's on this committee or subcommittee, but
I could probably
But I
answer
still
all the
think it's-
questions.
yeah, I mean, I still think it's definitely when I've been talking to Jane, I mean, she definitely had some things that I mean, I think I thought it was really valuable, speaking with Sam, and, I thought if we could continue that with some of the other, players in town, and there's a lot of them, and then, and then maybe I mean, there's definitely a lot of people we can still bring in.
Yeah. And that speaks to, like, if we talk about disbanding, I mean, these are things that we're no longer going to have. And I really think this is a valuable platform, even if we just narrow our focus and say, okay, this will be a platform to educate ourselves and bring that education information to our boards. Maybe we don't have to be so grand in terms of hitting everything, but, so I would really, caution jumping to disbanding, but I think that's an important platform that we'll no longer have. So
I think it's worth discussing also, maybe just meeting with us.
yeah. Okay. So okay,
even,
that's great.
Even going to like individuals that have created housing, like on a small scale, let's say, that someone has a duplex, and reaching out to some of those kind of people, like what we're looking for as well. People that own a home or property and then want to expand it from single family to either 2-family or excuse me, 2-unit or 3-unit. And, and people that have gone through this and what was difficult, and that, I mean, I think it's valuable. I mean, it's definitely something the planning board could do. But I wonder if this committee were to be disbanded, if we were going to really do that kind of thing, if the planning board would have to shoot off to a subcommittee of because I don't know if the planning board has enough space in our normal agendas to do that sort of thing. I know this, select board obviously does.
Yeah. So I think, again, this is a really good point, and I think we should bring it to the meeting when we talk about whether we want to continue with the committee, because this will be something that will be lost. And I don't necessarily think that the planning board and select board have the bandwidth to take it on. So
if we can, what is your fear of being lost again, please? Maybe I was speaking.
Having an outlet for us to have developers come talk to us and inform us, and for instance, tell us the hurdles that they have to go through to create housing, and what we learned from Sam Nickerson, for instance. And so for me, I find it very valuable to listen to others and get a sense of what we can and cannot change with town policies.
Then we would just, if you will, regurgitate this to the select board, et cetera, where it should be going or whatever the planning. So,
but the select board doesn't have.
Let's have this discussion next time.
Yeah, let's exactly. I think we should go in.
Yeah.
Okay,
or other committees too. It doesn't have to be just like disseminating it just to, select board and planning board. There may be some other issues, right? Board of Health or whatever, and Concom and so, yeah, I mean, I think it's, it's valuable.
All right. So do you have any things about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund or what's going on there?
no, we just had, as you probably know, we gave the $150,000 to the gentleman who used to own what's
Fuel, the Corettis,
yeah, the Corettis, and we just wanted to make sure, I guess, that we're going to have that in perpetuity, and that was the last thing that we talked about. I missed one of the meetings because I wasn't feeling well, That
Okay.
was the last gist that I had. We spoke about that.
Okay, and their request for CPA,
Yes.
that was brought down quite a considerable amount. And so in terms of their budget, I'm wondering, moving into the next fiscal year, what kind of budget they have, and is there talk about what to do with the remaining funds or
Sure.
so yeah. So that was kind of a question on, where's the housing, affordable housing trusts see themselves going, and how are they gonna, obviously I would think they might be coming to the budget to the select board for money, possibly in the next budget cycle.
Well, one thing I do remember speaking about, and I remember reading something, and I had mentioned it to Bill, that looks like we're almost competing with construct and other places, but and we'd like to keep our focus on owning homes and not doing renting. So that is also part of our focus, is to try to put people behind homes.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely different. Not that a construct, for instance, doesn't do affordable home ownership. So, I mean, we have through the abandoned housing initiatives, through the governor's initiatives, we have a home in Beckett, actually 2 homes in Beckett that we're working to rehabilitate, that will become affordable homes that someone is owning.
We'd
but
like to be
we don't
able to
generally
that
do
affordable housing, but-
do ownership, but that's great. Okay, so that might be another thing to kind of say, what's the mission, or what does the Affordable Housing Trust see themselves going more into? So if it's home ownership, and how does that create more space for nonprofits to work?
I'm not sure why.
Well, I guess so for instance, construct, we create affordable housing units to rent primarily.
Right.
And with that, we also offer supportive services. So we are very holistic. So we guide people through the transitioning of, let's say, moving from homelessness to affordable home rentals, and we offer them supportive services, whereas that's not something the Affordable Housing Trust would do. They would create housing.
Right.
So
and if we give it up like we did with the student habitat, they take care of all that. We have had to do. I just have one other question. Are we allowed to, can we speak to a little bit of what was happening with the joint meeting and the the chance of possibly having 1 bedroom bathroom for 8 people? And
Malcolm and Jeremy, do you guys want to talk about the the co-housing and the
my question was going to be how I want to make sure we don't turn it into a flop house, or what is there going to be any way to? I know you can't not allow people.
I agree with you, Garfield. I think that's the we have Construct and CDC developing co-housing, and they're obviously established, responsible local organizations. But we don't want to establish a bylaw that allows somebody to come in and buy a house and just turn it into a slum and then walk away.
Or even 8 people in 1 bathroom. I mean, just people.
I
don't get hung up on that, Garfield. I mean, that was thrown in there because that's code.
Right. I'm not so much hung up on that. I'm hung up on numbers of people, and people maybe just filtering through for a day or 2, or just being.
I mean, I don't think this is daily rentals. That's not what co-housing typically is. It's usually at least a month, but it's not long term. So it's not permanent housing. Usually, I mean, somebody may move in there and say, this is the best housing I ever had, and look at all the people I get to meet. And I mean, there are people that like that kind of setting. My daughter lived in a co-housing setting in Cambridge when she got right out of college, and it was with a bunch of people, and they came down to did the New York Times crossword puzzle every Sunday morning, and they took turns cooking and things like that. I mean, it was really quite a pleasant experience. But that's not what they all are, and that's I mean, the bylaw has to make sure that we don't end up with 8 people for a bathroom. That number has to change. No,
I think that's a really, really good point. And to that extent, are the thoughts of making sure they don't become short-term rentals that, people start renting out rooms as short-term rentals. Can we add that provision into it if it does come to
That's
town?
the thing to look, that's a good point, Lee, because I don't know that anybody's looked at it from that viewpoint.
Yeah, do you mind adding that or just maybe bringing that
No,
up for
don't mind it
discussion?
at all. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if there's anything to prevent Thornwood and Windflower from doing that because they're zoned as inns.
Right.
And so that kind of short term, and so for the two of those at least, they could very
No.
well.
no,
Because-
we can only do over 30 and over, so we cannot do short-term rentals. So part of our having to go around, because there wasn't a co-housing bylaw, we had to make sure that we were only renting to people for 30 days and over. And it's a month to month.
I thought
So-
I thought it was 30 days or under.
Nope, we cannot do,
I thought you
couldn't
were operating under a B&B permit.
Yeah.
no,
Because that,
the arrangement, the arrangement that we have, the residential agreement, I think we're calling it, it's not even a contract, is it's they can renew it month to month, but it's people can't kind of stay there for 1 or 2 days.
oh, but that's just your internal.
Yeah,
It's, that's not an agreement you have with the town. Meaning there's nothing and there's no enforcement. There's no municipal enforcement mechanism for that. That's just that construct has decided to do that.
yeah, that's how we, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're working under a special permit that grants a B&B permit.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
this.
it's complicated because there wasn't a co-housing bylaw. So hopefully you guys will address that so people don't turn it into short-term rentals.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think I see. I don't know. It depends what you mean by short-term rentals, right? I mean, part of this co-housing thing and what, at least it seems like the projected use for Thornwood and what Construct has said, Windflower, is that it is somewhat transitory, and because of the instances that we like the examples that we gave in the joint meeting. So let's say there's like maybe the hospital hires someone to come in and and they're coming in on this date and they need housing, and so and if it's available and whatever, then they take one of these units, and but for them it's probably, and just until they can find housing. And so I don't, I mean, I think I mean, I don't know how much we want to limit that and say, well, it has to be for 30 days or it has to be this or that.
I think that we need to make a differentiation between co-housing and short-term rental.
I know, but I don't.
And
But
if we have to put a minimum rental of a week or 30 days on that.
Yeah, we have a minimum rental. And part of the co-housing, especially with the Windflower, we're trying to create a community. So even the seasonal residents that come through, they're working at Butternut or they're a traveling nurse, so they will be staying for at least a month. But that is baked into our. I'm just looking at the rental agreement now. To standard occupancy agreement, we call it. So each month it's renewed. And there's definitely a beginning and ending period, but it is a minimum of 30 days.
Is there a way to?
So,
Sorry.
so we have addressed that because now that we have the further complication of, and I don't want to go too much down this rabbit hole, but if renters are now permitted to short-term rent their space. So in this case, if this is a room that they have in this co-housing, and then all of a sudden they disappear and go to India and for 3 months, and then they rent this room as a short-term rental. I mean, it just layers upon layers of things that could go wrong. So I would note that possibility and just make sure that
But
that's baked into that agreement or into the bylaw.
I think we have to have this discussion back at the planning board, Jeremy.
Yeah. So we're just
Yeah.
kind of throwing a
yeah,
note.
I mean, it's a good point because it hadn't been, we specifically hadn't talked about that. I mean, we didn't, it wasn't intentional, but we
Yeah,
didn't talk.
You hadn't
We
thought,
didn't. Yeah.
How do we guarantee not having drug abusers and alcoholics and transients?
I don't think we can guarantee
I
that.
don't think we
We haven't
can.
had any issues at
We have
Windflower.
legalized marijuana and
Yeah.
alcohol in Massachusetts. I don't know if,
Yeah.
if you can say these have to be dry.
Yeah, no, but I will say that we haven't had any issues with the co-housing. We have 13 units at Windflower right now and no issues. It's become a real community. We have different age
So
groups.
far,
Yep.
right,
No,
so far.
but
Yeah, I mean, people
we don't
being.
have a
I mean,
manager on
people being
site,
safe.
but yeah. I mean, but I wouldn't let that deter us. But I mean, it's a good point. Someone should be responsible for this
Yeah, I'm
property.
just concerned about the co-housing and just think about it, because it's not new, as we said the other day. And
Yeah.
it's not unlikely that you will find some people that are less than desirable, if you will,
Yeah.
that need a place.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they talked a lot about, vetting people before they come in and trying to make sure that they fit in with the community that's been established in the housing. But that's not to say everybody's going to be as responsible. That's the thing. I mean, if we open this up, there may be private developers to say, here's an opportunity for co-housing, and they're not going to be, may not be as conscientious as Construct or Berkshire Housing or CDC. So,
Yeah, and that's another good note because, when you have a nonprofit, this is our reputation, especially with Construct, we have a staff of managers and, and support services and maintenance people. And, we make sure that our name is kept clean and that we follow through. But to your point, Malcolm, if you do open it up to private developers, they might just build it and walk away. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure that there's some accountability for
yeah,
managing.
well, we briefly
So-
discussed, a different process for nonprofits and for-profits.
Yeah,
But you pointed out that if somebody's unscrupulous, they could just create a nonprofit to.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on who's developing it, but just some accountability if someone
But-
starts to build these and walks away, doesn't care about what's happening. But
So what's the difference between then this and if somebody were to develop a multi-unit, and then walk away?
it's just the
Like
unit.
in part of the bylaw, we're requiring, so they're gonna be required to have to submit their plan, right?
Management plan.
Their management plan with the building department, and then that, and then what is it, Malcolm? Every year in their normal,
Yeah, when they get inspected,
when they get inspected.
inspection is going to have to be their updated management plan.
Yeah.
So
And
here's who
so-
the super is, here's what the phone numbers are, here's who you call with this kind of emergency, here's who's responsible for. So as time goes by, as people change, as those things change, those management plans need to be updated too, and that's part of the
Yeah.
bylaw.
I mean, if you, with anything, if you make it too narrow, like you have to hit this bullseye to be able to do this, you effectively make it, like impossible, right? So you effectively kill it before it even starts. And so we have to be careful not to make it, like undevelopable.
Yeah, too
And-
onerous. Yep.
Yeah, and so I'm, and it's like, and then also I think it's like it's a very slippery slope starting to talk about, like those people. Like, this is the very reason why this type of zoning doesn't exist now. It's because we had single family zoning to zone out all of those people, to basically make, you know, like, home ownership only available to white middle class people, you know, and like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's very, you know, when we start talking about all these kinds of things, it's like, I think we want to be careful that we're not excluding the very people that have a difficult time finding housing anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
the other side of that coin, Jeremy, is that people who have a difficult time finding housing are easy victims.
Yeah.
And we don't want to set
No,
up a
I-
here
and I,
where
and I
people
get
are going to
that.
be able to come in and victimize other people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of variables for sure. Okay,
I mean,
so
I think this goes to, and I don't know, you know, if we want to put this on a future agenda, but one of the things that we come up a lot with in the planning board is the topic of enforcement. And, you know, so we have all of this very robust, you know, zoning, but the enforcement mechanisms when, you know, the zoning isn't followed, like, that's not very robust. And I don't know. I mean, it comes up a lot for
Okay.
us.
yeah, so let's okay, so that's a good point. I don't want to veer off too much from the agenda, and I know that it's late. I know that we've been in the meeting since 4. So yeah, Garfield and I are
Oh my
gonna,
gosh, 4. Jeez.
can we so we touched upon planning board, select board, I think we're fine. Nonprofits we touched upon, and I went to the State House a couple weeks ago and talked and testified in front of the housing committee. So so that is moving forward through the different committees, the Affordable Homes Act. And there's a lot of wonderful things that I think will benefit Western Mass and Southern Berkshire towns. So as it moves through the different committees, I think it's going to go to the bonding committee and the House and Ways and Means, and then to the floor. And by the end of the legislative session in July, we will hopefully know what is coming our way. So I'll continue to update, you know, through the select board or through this committee where we are, but things are really moving forward. There's lots of support for the real estate transfer fee, which is wonderful. There's some amendments that need to happen so that it could be useful to Great Barrington if they wanted to use this tool, but it's all going to be flushed out in the legislature. So we will know more in the summer. So but it's very exciting. A lot of good people, a lot of positive momentum. So you guys want to kind of wrap it up and make a note for next meeting, and then I'll open it up to citizens speak. So can we look at our availability? So we kind of want to, let's see, I know we're heading into budget season. So for Garfield and I, we're going to be super busy. Our first budget meeting is February 6th, which is my birthday. Yay.
Happy birthday.
Oh.
Bob Marley and Ronald Reagan. So pick your poison.
Is that
Bob Marley and Ronald Reagan.
So anyways,
Reaganomics, right?
so that's when we start our budget season. So February, sometimes in February, like we could do at the end. Is that too late to wait till
20th?
the 20th? Yeah.
That'd be good.
Is the 20th?
Oh, that's a Tuesday. Is that?
That's a Tuesday.
Guys?
Yeah.
Oh, is that bad? I can do Tuesday.
Tuesday's actually better for me. I cannot meet on 21st.
Can you meet on a Tuesday at 5:30?
I think so.
Okay. Jeremy, is that okay?
Yes.
February 20th at 5:30?
Because the relay is coming up and I'm on the
okay.
leadership committee team, and we do use Tuesdays, but let me just.
Okay, so this would be Tuesday, February 20th at 5:30, if you can double check that. And so if we are going to have this big heavy discussion on whether to stay together, which is sad for me, but obviously I'm only one voice. We should really come to the meeting with pros and cons and think really hard about whether disbanding is the way to go. It could be that we just not meet as much or do a lot more homework on the off times that we aren't meeting. So
Rather not do a lot of homework. Well, I'm already, and like yourself, there's 3 or 4,
Yeah.
5 committees.
yeah, or
Up to do
if you
home-
just want to step off and let someone else on the, boards step in if it's too much, I don't know.
We've already gone through everybody on the planning board, so.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We've scared everyone away, so.
No, but no.
Anyway, so let's just, have a real kind of good sense coming into the meeting if we're serious about this and the pros and cons. That's my request. Okay, so citizens speak. Is there anyone that would like to talk that's in the audience? We have James and Eileen. Okay, any media time? Any media? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
let's see, Malcolm,
yes.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Garfield?
Yes.
And I am and thank you so much, Malcolm, for doing minutes. Very much
Got it.
appreciated.
Thank you all.
We'll see you
Thank you,
guys
Mal.
February 20th, 5:30. All right, bye.